Welcome back to The Ed Show. This is the story for the folks who take a shower after work. President Obama out working today to solidify his Democratic base by taking a strong stance on the environment. Earlier today, he appeared at a Safeway distribution center in Maryland to talk about the new fuel efficiency standards for medium and heavy-duty trucks.
Improving gas mileage for these trucks are going to drive down our oil imports even further. That reduces carbon pollution even more, cuts down on businesses' fuel costs, which should pay off in lower prices for consumers. So it's not just a win-win, it's a win-win-win. You got three wins.
Well, tomorrow President Obama is heading to Mexico to meet with the country's president there and also the Prime Minister of Canada, Canadian president there. And of course, Obama, the president of the United States, should expect some pressure from Prime Minister Stephen Harper over the approval of the controversial Keystone XL pipeline. Harper recently called the extension of the pipeline, quote, inevitable. The Canadian government has been a vocal advocate of the $5.4 billion construction project. The debate in the United States has intensified since the State Department's environmental analysis said the pipeline would not significantly increase greenhouse gas emissions. Despite the report, environmentalists and some people in the Democratic base are strongly opposed to the pipeline. I will be in Nebraska on Friday talking to the folks on the ground who will clearly be affected by the pipeline if something were to go wrong. There are two sides of the story. Joe Romm, founding editor of climateprogress.org, joins us tonight. Joe, good to have you back with us. What the president did today was good, was it not?
Absolutely. There's nothing like fuel efficiency, lowering oil consumption, reducing pollution, saving people money.
Is there a chance he could be setting the table to come back and say, you know, what we saved over here, it's going to be kind of a wash so we can go along with the pipeline? I mean, do you think that there is a case that is building to give the president an opportunity to do this?
Well, you know, I hear what you're saying, but on the other hand, his Secretary of State just a few days ago, I think you played it on the show, said that climate change was the most fearsome weapon of mass destruction. Very strong speech about the dangers of climate change. And if climate change is a WMD, then the Canadian tar sands, one of the dirtiest pools of carbon, is a hydrogen bomb. And you know, the Keystone XL pipeline would be a delivery system. And it's so inconsistent with the way John Kerry has been talking about climate. It's sort of hard to understand how he could recommend to the president opening it up.
Well, that's the point. I mean, he went so far in that speech. I mean, there was nobody left on the beach on that one. I mean, he was very clear. I don't know how he walks back a recommendation to the president saying, yeah, I think you should build the pipeline, Mr. President. President Obama's climate action has helped this country take some steps to seriously cut greenhouse gas emissions by 2020 by the action that he did today. If he approves the Keystone XL pipeline, would it overshadow all the work he's done in the eyes of environmental groups?
Oh, I think absolutely. You know, this is a decision for him and John Kerry to make. You know, I think the thing to bear in mind is that we're talking about 1 million barrels of oil a day of the dirtiest crude that you can imagine. And to sign off on that when he could just say no, obviously would be sending a message that all of his talk about climate is just talk.
The public comment ends on March 7th. What happens between now and then that would change the president's mind? I mean, you've got the Canadian Prime Minister. You know he's going to be putting heat on the president down in Mexico when he says it's inevitable. What does that mean? How's that receive your ears?
Well, exactly. I mean, I think the point is it's not inevitable. The whole premise of the State Department report and some of the premise of your argument has been that the oil is going to get here no matter what, so you might as well build Keystone. Well, you know, the premise of the State Department report is also that the planet is going to warm, is just going to keep unleashing carbon pollution until the planet warms 10 degrees Fahrenheit. I mean, that is a weapon of mass destruction. So I don't think it's inevitable. I think that people are coming around to the reality that this doesn't make a lot of sense. Right now, there's only a very little amount of Canadian tar sands that goes by rail, maybe 1/20th of what would go through the pipeline. And activists have been able to make the case against the Keystone pipeline, give them a chance once we've stopped the pipeline, to see what we can do about stopping the train loads of oil that supposedly would inevitably come into this country, because I don't think it's inevitable.
I heard Senator Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota, who is a Democrat, go on the Senate floor and say that this was a security issue. What's your response to that?
Yeah, that's a kind of an old-style argument. The whole security notion came up during the 1973 oil embargo when OPEC actually withheld oil from us. But now there's a global market. It's not possible to withhold oil from us. So even if we were completely self-sufficient in oil, a world crisis would still jack the price of oil up, and it would still hit our economy. The way that you make us more secure, more economically secure from oil, is to be more efficient in the use of oil, which was the president's announcement today. If you reduce the oil consumed per GDP, then if there's a price shock, it has less impact on your GDP. But simply getting more oil from Canada rather than, let's say, Saudi Arabia is going to do nothing for your economic security.
Well, I appreciate you being with us tonight, Joe Romm, and I appreciate you being on the program, telling us what you think on everything. I find it interesting in preparation for my trip to Nebraska on Friday. We're going to talk to both sides, but they don't want to be together. So I got to talk to one group over here, and then I got to go and attempt to talk to another group somewhere else. That's really, I think, illustrates the intensity and the passion that is behind this issue. And I do think, and I'll talk more about this next week when I come back from Nebraska, that this is going to have an impact on the midterms if the decision comes before the midterms. Joe Romm, thanks for your time tonight. That's the Ed Show. I'm Ed.